the rubber tires.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone left a Mantis tiller, and I said, "Ooh, that's tiny. It's perfect." And
You didn't put a tiller in the back of your car.
I did.
He's got one of these two-seater BMW.
It was Bill's for
It used to be my Audi. And,
Oh, it was.
oh yeah, that was back when I was young and stupid and foolish. And the idea was how fast can you get the elementary school? 2.5 seconds. I don't do that anymore.
Right now, I do.
But somebody came up to me at the dump and said, I notice Bob's not here. You suppose he convinced everybody that he works and that's enough? You should go back.
Missing it already.
Already.
Bonnie misses you.
I saw her twice today.
I know you saw it twice today. That she's in withdrawal. I mean, you weren't there, you know, she comes in, they come in, the two dogs. I said, this is really stupid. The two Westies come in and on Sunday morning, and it has to be Sunday morning, and they sit right down at about 11 o'clock. Are we going to the dump? And all I have to do is say the word dump and they run to the car. I'm serious.
Yeah.
And they get in the car and we go to the dump, we back up in there and I have to roll the windows down. And Miss Megan Goucher comes over and gives them cookies. And they are extremely happy about that. And then we drive off. And that's a part of everyday life in my house. And I go to the mailbox every day at the post office, not because I have an email, I don't get email, but the two Westies sit there and they want to go to the post office because they get patted. So at 11:15, same thing, the two of them are sitting there. And they're looking at me like,
And you
come on,
can't say the
idiot.
word post office.
Yeah, say the word post office.
Well, they're
And
right
they
in the
started
car.
spelling
They're in
it,
the
and then
car.
they spelled it.
Need a new code word.
No, they actually can spell a word. We started spelling P-O-S-T, boom.
P.O., why did you say it's P.O.?
Anybody who says dogs are stupid is crazy.
It's not.
Man, I'll tell you.
Are we set?
Yes, we are good.
We're on the go.
We're gonna say the pledge.
We gotta open the meeting first.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 7:01. We'll do the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The minutes, I sent my comments in. I think the only thing I had was Barbara Scapper,
Oh, good catch.
and you had one thing?
I just sent, I think the meeting that you asked about, I think was the safety meeting. And then I sent the code for the
Oh,
executive
Yeah.
session.
we're gonna, the tray and see that. Yes, we gotta do that again tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
I move that we accept the minutes from November 21 as amended.
Second.
And, okay, we are gonna skip the aging in place and go right over to the trio and paycheck service payroll. Payroll. Do you want to go first?
Actually,
What do you want, Joe?
Well, yeah, what questions do you have?
okay, so there's a difference between payroll software
Mhm.
and payroll service.
Correct.
And then there's a hybrid in between.
Mhm.
So can, can you walk through what yours includes?
Yes. So Trio has a payroll module that goes along, that can be purchased and added into your current installation of Trio.
Mhm.
It can do anything payroll related, printing checks, tracking accruals, direct deposits, state and federal forms, 941, in W-2s and W-3s, anything payroll related it can handle, it can do. You can process payroll on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, whatever frequency you have, and you can mix payrolls among them. So the select board, which gets a stipend quarterly or half yearly or whatever, that can be rolled into normal weekly or bi-weekly payrolls.
So it is software.
Yes, the payroll module itself is software that you would access. You would enter your employee information into, then on whatever, when you need to process a paycheck, you go in and you type in the number of hours they have. Trio calculates the rest.
Yep.
You just have to type and put in, once it's set up, you just have to put in how many hours they worked. Maybe if there's something like a stipend, you might have to type in a stipend amount, but that's the end of your interaction as far as data entry is concerned,
And
processing payroll.
that's basically what I do on the spreadsheet. But the rest of it, the 941s, you print a report that says 941.
Yes,
Tax deposits, withholding.
are you, okay, so the tax, you have budgetary, right? Okay, so there are a series of accounts that are associated with the payroll module, GL accounts. When an employee has taxes taken out for deduction for a benefit, that can go into an alternate account or the GL account, which can then be paid out. So Trio does the withholdings, doesn't matter what type of withholding it is, whether it's deduction, federal government, state government, court order, Trio can do it. It can track the money and then print a check for that, depending on what the frequency is set for that disbursement. So if it's, I could be wrong on this, but I think the state is monthly, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, it has nothing to do with month. It has to do with the amount of deposits that you have to make. If it's over $2,000.
Okay,
And withholding, you have to do it within 48 hours.
okay,
And we cannot pay by check. We have to pay by EFT.
okay.
Yes, so it's logging into the federal government
The
portal.
Trio won't log into the federal government
Yeah.
portal. It will create a voided check during the process, which at that point accounts for it in budgetary and payroll, and then you would log into the portal and process that. Having said that, there is an ACH component as well. If you select ACH for the trusted agency checks, which is taxes and deductions, then it's possible that all you would have to do is upload the ACH file to your bank, the trusted agency ACH file to your bank, which would then disperse the funds to whoever needs it.
That's a different program though.
No, that's set up with your bank, and Trio creates the file. It sits on your server or wherever the location you stored it, and then you would log in and upload that file to the bank, which would then vet it on the spot. They would, everything's preloaded with them. They look at it and they'll either accept it or reject it. If you reject it, or if they reject it, you fix whatever the issue is. If they accept it, it just gets dispersed the next day.
Okay, it's not, I don't know what the difference is because I log into the EFTPS
Mhm.
for the IRS. And they pull the money from my bank account.
And ACH is where you create the file.
Push.
Yeah, it's push.
We do not do ACH on our bank accounts. That would be another charge on our bank because we're not set up in it.
There are stricter security
Yeah.
requirements for ACH.
Yeah.
What she is saying is she can log in and trigger, push them, have them pull the money from the bank. And ACH would require 2 authorizations. So her and potentially someone else would have to log in and verify those amounts.
Okay, so let me go back. Direct deposit.
Mhm.
How do I do a direct deposit from Trio Payroll?
Once the employee is set up as a direct deposit, all you do is you process the normal payroll. There's a function that will allow you to go in and create the ACH file, which you would then upload to your bank. You would enter their direct deposit information in the Trio. And then they would be
Okay,
able to-
so there again, it's an ACH from our bank out to their bank.
Correct.
Okay, so that might be a problem.
What are you saying, for direct deposit, like an employee wants
Yeah.
their checks
Yeah.
direct deposited?
We don't offer that right now.
Yeah.
So it would be, I'd have to, for each individual, or,
No, whoever's flagged as ACH or as direct deposit on that they run, it just creates one file and includes everyone.
but it would have to be creating an ACH file that our bank would accept.
Yes, they're basically just text files.
So that, again, we're not set up for ACH, so that's a two-step authorization and more
Is-
charges.
Is there, did the employee get a voided check too? In that case, for the
You have two
direct
options.
deposit?
They can get a paper voided check, or if they wish, because it's direct deposit, we can email them a check stub.
Okay.
That functionality sits within the software.
Okay. So quarterly, I have to do state wage reports, main withholding, state unemployment, and federal unemployment.
Mhm.
I also have to track paid time off.
Mhm.
So how does Trio handle that?
Paid time off would be set up as an accrual, whether it's holiday, vacation, or
No,
whatever.
no, PTO, it's
Yeah.
main state law.
Yeah.
For every 40 hours
Yeah.
of work, you get.
But you still have to set that up as an accrual in Trio,
Okay.
whether it's 40 hours deposited on day one, or if they're earning 1 hour per X time of work. The PTO law that went into effect was kind of complicated because there are full-time people get 40 hours, but if you work less than full-time, you get a corresponding match for that. So a part-timer working 20 hours would not get 40 hours, they would get 20. Most towns deposit all the money or all the hours the first paycheck of the year, so it's sitting them in anticipation of using. But
You don't know
some,
how many hours to work. How do you do that?
well, if they're set up if they're full-time, then it's gonna be 40 hours.
There's nobody here that's full-time.
Then you would set it up to accrue on a basis.
Okay,
So we can determine what that is. If someone works 32 hours for a week, then they would get the corresponding amount. Counts.
I have a question,
Mhm.
going back to the notification about the pay that you said there were two options, a paper voided um, option and an email.
Correct.
Is the email contain the data for that paycheck or provide access to a website that person would then sign in?
It's just a pay stub. So it's a document within the email. They would not turn around and then log into another system that has the data.
So that doesn't sound secure.
It's,
there's nothing insecure, there's nothing confidential about that check. All pay information, public information, it wouldn't have any of your social security or
Right.
identification on it.
Right. Yeah,
Okay,
town employees,
so, Sure.
if I can just add something that we would be following whatever federal guidelines are as far as security is concerned. So we wouldn't be pushing social security information on there that would, or anything private. But I can give you examples of an electronic pay stub at some point in the near future if you would like to see that in action.
I've just never seen one done via email.
Okay.
okay, state wage and these others.
Mhm.
941s.
Mhm.
I would have to print them and then file them.
Yes.
Okay. And W-2s,
Yeah.
W-3,
Same way.
how do I, what forms do I need to buy?
You can buy pretty much any off-the-shelf form as
Okay.
long as can be done on a laser, or if you have a dot matrix. I don't think anyone uses dot matrices anymore. I mean, I don't think you can use a dot matrix with web, so it would just be laser for you. You just put the pre-rendered forms in there and just print them.
Okay.
And it's done in a batch process after the end of year. So it's at some point, maybe a week or two into January is when you start thinking about W-2s and you just print them off.
Okay, so what I'm doing, Joe, is I'm looking at the feasibility of using a payroll service
Mhm.
versus a payroll program.
Mhm.
I work a lot with a company called Payroll Paychecks.
Mhm.
And I have worked with ADP. they're more than what we need, and they're more expensive. They do have a portal that employees can log in and change their direct deposit information and everything else. There's a company in Maine called Payroll Management that I worked extensively with too. Their security is primo, they're federally bonded and go through the federal FDIC security clearances.
Mhm.
So what they do is same thing. I get on and I say, okay, Bob Grenier wants his $1,000 of select pay. And the transfer station, Leo has 3 hours, so put in 3 hours for Leo. And I worked it out with them because there's timing issues. That Monday night, you guys approve, after the meeting, I go and I just submit this. So that's that, and that's the same
Mhm.
as Trio, it's inputting the things.
Right.
But after that, what happens is, they will do direct deposit, but what they do is they take the money from our account and they do the ACH push. I get the same kind of reports, I get a payroll register, and they take care of the new employee changes, state changes, they're Maine based. So they do all the main requirements. They do the main new hire reporting. They do main severance reporting when you unemploy somebody, so they're eligible for unemployment. A payroll service does all of that.
Mhm.
They file the state wage, before that, I have 2 days. My pay date is Wednesday here, because I need some time if there are any changes made to make sure I have the taxes right and everything. So the pay date is Wednesday.
Mhm.
Payroll management takes and makes the tax deposits. They pay the tax deposits, they take on all the liability for that tax if it's late. I just went through the files and these are very easy. This is an IRS notice.
Mhm.
This one was 7 days late, $566. So that's, oh, my computer broke, or, oh, I had a migraine for a couple days and I'm late, 700. This was a very small payroll. The tax liability is only $4,000. Our liability tonight was, payroll taxes, I think, was 1,200. So it was a small warrant for payroll. A payroll service makes your tax deposits. They take on the tax liability if anything's made late. They file the state quarterlies, they file the unemployment, they file all of the forms, they print the W-2s and W-3s, and they file them. And all of the reports are the same and more. I can export to Excel and use it. So I'm just holding this out. There's one for Joe, there's one for you. Does everybody? Yeah, today. So I'm not downing Trio. What I'm doing is a payroll service is a whole lot different.
Mhm.
And what it does is, this first one is everything they do, and they do the annual filings. There's no direct deposit, no termination or new employee charges. They also have an HR department. They're up to date on current HR laws for Maine and federal.
Mhm.
And they're a resource if you have HR questions. So actually, a payroll service becomes a partner. They're not a software program. You're using a software program to communicate with them, but they're a partner because they really do fulfill a bunch of different needs. And then it goes through the charges, and how much does the payroll in Trio, the module for Trio cost?
I would have to look that up, but I can find out for you. I don't know what pricing Allison has given you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Forgot to bring that.
pull that up real quick.
What did this come out? So much a check?
Mhm.
Was it so much a check?
well, what I did is, I had gone through with payroll management. We have, on the average, 12 employees, not a big deal. And 62 employees for the town total when I ran this register. And what they do is they have a base charge every payroll, then they have a charge per check up to 16 people. When it's more than 16 people, it drops down to $2 per pay. And they do all the tax deposits, they do the 941 filings, they print W-2s, and they file the W-2s and 3s. And for that total thing, it would come out to a total of $2,741.50. However, if you look on the last page, what I've done is I've gone through, and actually today, it takes me about 6 hours to do the bi-weekly payroll. That's entry through the tax deposit. And that's a lot of back and forth. And Trio, I know, and I'm sorry about this, but in some ways Trio is more cumbersome because I would have to search for each employee's ID number versus just entering the date, and payroll services and everything else put in partial name. So I have to do it by number, looking up each number.
You
So I
said,
know,
oh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but Trio, you can sort by the only eligible employees that are getting paid, so they would just be at the top of the list. You wouldn't necessarily have to.
how do I indicate who's not, everybody's eligible every week?
How many employees do you have? 62. As long as they were, you input them on what's called the data, there's a setting in Trio you can enable so that any employees that are not eligible to get paid, you can uncheck them and they won't show up at the top. That would be something I could show you in practice. Are all the 62 employees that are showing up, are they all eligible to get paid at any given time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Not really. Like the fireman is twice a year, rescue is twice a year.
oh, Jason Beckler can get paid every week, and Ronnie, the
What,
chiefs can get paid at any time.
yeah,
If they have large calls, they do put in on call.
yeah.
So it depends. I mean, it's,
I would have to see it in action before I could,
yeah,
to
okay.
show you how it would look.
So anyway, and I do use payroll management, so I know how it works. And it actually, I calculated and done trial runs. It would take me less than 2 hours to do a payroll, the payroll tonight. 6 hours today. I can't imagine it being less on Trio versus 2 hours on payroll management. That's a savings of $100 because I'm paid hourly, and that's $2,600 a year savings. Quarterly, I have to file quarterly reports, federal, state, unemployment, and God knows what else. And those quarterlies, I figure take about 7 hours each quarter. That's included with payroll management's fee. So that saves 7 hours every quarter, $175 or $700 a year. Yearly W-2s and W-3s, at least 10 hours checking the 941s and doing the calculations and double checking people's social security numbers, and God knows what else can go wrong. And collating and stuffing and filing with the IRS. I have to buy forms. The forms are pretty pricey, but that wouldn't change from now to Trio. So I'm going to say probably about $150
You wouldn't have to buy any 941 forms for training.
No, W-2s and W-3s.
Just okay, just so.
Okay, and envelopes to mail them.
Yeah.
Okay, so the forms, W-2s and W-3s, no hours, a savings of $250. The forms, they do charge it for 62 employees, it would be $360, but they print the forms and they do all the reconciliations and filings with the state. And it's done. For $360 for 62 employees. There are no tax penalties. Now, no matter what, even if I drop dead, you're not gonna miss a tax payment. They're a local company, and I've done this before with other clients and gone in for clients who aren't mine, but with payroll management, I call in and a rep can submit the payroll. It's because, and that's something different than a Paychex or ADP, because they're an in-state. They can be very hands-on and get an assigned payroll specialist. They have HR law expertise, and you get that as part of their partnership. And they're a backup to our personnel as far as submittal payroll. So that's the difference between a payroll service and a payroll software, which is what payroll is.
So what's the bottom line on payroll? What would be the cost going that way versus
Okay.
Trio?
So compared today to payroll management, it will save you a lot of my hours. It will save you the actual form hours. It will save about $3,327 versus the forms are in there. It will cost $2,049. So it will still will save you over $1,000. But you don't have any payroll liabilities, and you have a backup for submitting your payroll.
But we still don't know how much it's costing.
$2,049.70 up top. I'm sorry, I had gone through these numbers. I had gone through these numbers with the select board and the budget, but it was a different
okay.
select board.
Okay, I see.
So I took an entire payroll register and said, okay, how much would payroll management have cost me to run that?
Okay,
And that total for the total year was $2,049 for the total year. And then you have to add on the 941s and W-2s.
Yeah.
So, unless, I don't know how much, did you find?
Yeah, I've got they're looking at here, your population is over 1,000, right?
it's 1,700.
All right. The licensing would be $35.95, but then the annual maintenance would be $826.85, going forward. In perpetuity, doesn't matter how many employees you have, that's what it is.
So it's 800 a year.
Yeah, $826.85,
So the initial would be 3,000.
$35.95, yeah.
Okay. So this is actually cheaper. It will save money. And the price for payroll management, as we add more employees, the price would go up per employee, as you can see on the charts. But the big thing to me is we don't have an HR department. We don't have a lot of backup. When I did have the emergency surgery, I had the payroll all done and all packaged, and we still didn't manage to get people their paychecks. So it was like, I did the bed from the emergency room. This gives you a backup. It gives you the HR ship. It gives you the freedom from the liabilities, which is a big issue in towns because we are small.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
And we've heard that from other towns, over time, staff changes for whatever reason. And it really came into focus with the pandemic that towns were running lean and things started to fall behind, and payroll was one of the things that people started looking at alternate sources, like you are. And having said that, I have very little information on it, but we are starting to offer our own payroll service. It does, as you were going off the checklist of what the differences are, we do everything that you had mentioned. I don't have prices to get that to you, but Allison will get that to you. The only difference, and that's not confirmed with me, is the ACH and the direct deposit aspect of it. I don't know who will control that. The the test documentation that hasn't been finalized yet indicates that that would be a municipal responsibility, but I don't know what their capabilities are, so I don't know what that entails, but I will get that answered for you as well.
The thing to me is that and I've gone over this, and I do this with a lot of my other clients. I run payroll using the different payroll services.
Mhm.
And then you just do entries. It has to be an entry. I've gone over the entries with our accountants, and they've approved the entries. And today's risk of doing payroll in-house, I still control what you get paid, how much you get paid, how much, whether you're in there as single, married, whatever. I still control that. But what I don't have is, I don't have the hours of calculating out the 941s and double checking, because
Yeah.
all of that, they take on. The minute I say submit as our partner, I've said, this is blessed by me and the select board. And as soon as I do that, they take on all the responsibility and liability.
Yeah.
Which is good, because then you have an army behind you. They don't control what anybody gets paid.
Right.
They don't. And I have worked it out with them that I will, for people who do not want direct deposit, that's why I can submit it Monday night and I'll just write a net check. But that's where the difference is. It's not having the liability and the stress and the reconciliations that can fall through the cracks. And that's why most businesses do not do in-house payroll. They use a payroll service, and that's why payroll services are becoming bigger.
Yeah.
And I'd be very interested in Trio's payroll service, but it sounds like you're not quite there yet.
We're anticipating probably first year. It's
First of 2023.
this coming year, yes. It's imminent. It's just not out as of this moment.
Do you have a trial that wouldn't cost much or nothing for Mount Vernon to sample it to
You mean the service or the module?
the service?
No, but I can ask.
I think if you could do, say, like a month or two of the service, like you were
Well,
getting the decision.
okay, there's one thing here. It's a lot of work to put, you don't have a conversion to go into Trio, if I remember correctly.
If you can give us an Excel spreadsheet with certain fields, we can bring that in, but past amounts would more than likely be entered manually. Because that's an easy process. You just go in, open up an employee and type in a few numbers, as opposed to having to load in every previous pay period. In the past, when we've done conversions mid-cycle before the end of the calendar year, we would load Trio up with all the employee information, and instead of bringing in their individual paycheck data, we would just load the totals up. That way, when they want to process the W-2s, the W-2s would still print out accurately and everything.
Right.
But what you couldn't do is go into Trio for a check stub that happened 3 months ago.
Right, no, I still have to keep the separate payroll systems, and I understand
Yeah,
that.
okay.
For history, I have to do that for GL history too. But, so if we wanted to turn over, switch on next week,
Mhm.
I could give you an Excel sheet, that's not a problem.
Mhm.
But I would still have to load year-to-date manually.
Yeah, that might be something we could work out during the conversion.
Not at the, not, you wouldn't wanna start until the first of the year.
Well,
Conceptually, yes, but where we're at now, you wouldn't wanna do this till the first of the year.
No.
That way you wouldn't have to do any load backs. Just start
Okay.
fresh from zero balances.
what about the liability issues? Do you take, for your payroll service, do you take the liability of tax deposits?
I will have to look at that and find out where that is.
That's for
Yes.
me, that's the deal breaker. And that's why companies go to payroll services.
As someone who used to own a small business many years ago, the payroll service was a lifeline for me. Just to put that out there. I understand where she's coming from.
Okay.
Because not having to think about, did the taxes right? Is this form gonna happen? Is it late? That's a tremendous amount of pressure that's relieved.
Mhm.
And you wind up going through with our solution, I'm taking all this back, so we can potentially incorporate it going forward and make it better for everyone, because, I definitely hear what you're saying. It's not, money's only a part of it, it's the stress that's no longer there that is
And the
another
backup,
component.
knowing
Yeah.
that people are gonna get paid regardless of if I drop off the face of the earth tomorrow.
And she can go on vacation and not have to worry about it.
I have a
Because
farm,
Yeah, in the tech world, that's a single point of failure. One thing gets knocked out and you're offline. Cloud services or payroll services like that, that's not an issue.
Thank you. That being said, I am interested. I would like to try it out, but now we're coming up to year end and I want to be on something.
Okay,
And I have been going full speed ahead on payroll management because, well, not you, but it's what the previous board and the budget committee had approved. The payroll service, there are a lot of questions there.
Mhm.
So what I would like to propose is that I would like to try it out.
Mhm.
I would like to answer, some of the other questions. But I would like to proceed with payroll management, so I get it up there.
That's the way I would suggest, do 1 year trial with that service and see what Harris comes back with
Yeah. That,
this time
I
next
think
year.
that sounds
Okay.
very reasonable. What do you think, Ron?
I like both options. I like the payroll service because you don't have to rely on something happens, you don't have to worry about the taxes not being calculated, or you don't have to necessarily worry about payroll tax deposits being missed and hitting another fee for the IRS for the state. I like that idea. But I also like the idea of Trio along with payroll service.
Yeah.
I like both of them.
The current way that it's set up is you would have an installation of Trio accessible to you. You get a new employee, you type in their information, then when it comes time to process the payroll, whoever does that would log into your instance of Trio, process everything, and then it's done.
Okay. What do you mean, somebody from Trio would,
No, new employee.
When from logging in, someone from the payroll service, would log in to your environment, Trio environment, and then process the payroll that way. That way, all of your data stays local to wherever it's hosted, wherever it is, and you're hosted, so it would
Yeah.
stay there. Your data would never move off site, so it would be. And we could set up whoever's doing it with just the credentials, just so they can process payroll. We would exclude access to any other modules.
the other thing is, it's the same thing though. It's not quite as devastating to the town, the tax deposits, but the direct deposits.
Mhm.
Because when I was treasurer 3 years ago, Charlie Bader set up direct deposits. We were doing the payroll for the school teachers, the elementary school.
Mm.
And I had to go in and do that. I had to run payroll, get it, and to go to the select board meeting, get payroll authorized, go back, run the teacher's checks, and then manually do the direct deposits. And that sounds like Trio, I would have to do the direct
Push.
deposit push.
Right.
Versus a payroll service, and hopefully Trio payroll at some point would do the,
It would be automatic.
Yeah.
Meaning it's just part of the payroll process itself as opposed to an extra step once it's done.
Right. yeah, a true payroll service does all the blah, 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 and payroll software just does the chunk. So what I think we need, and Joe's kind of there too, in a way. What we really need is something that takes the ungodly changes in state and federal laws and tables and everything. Take that out of here. Take and bring in some HR expertise to have access to with the payroll. And to make sure that we're not paying penalties. And
I like the idea of the payroll service from the point of view that they're up on all the payroll laws. They're by and large responsible for making the deposits. I don't know what the fees are for ACH if you need to change your banking around, but you can roll that savings into the potential savings into sort of direct deposits. I think it's wise to go with payroll service, but I also think it's wise to go with another module. So if it could be like the best of both worlds, I mean, that would be ideal.
Mhm. I'll take this information back. Can I keep this?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I'll take this information back to the people that are doing the payroll service, and I will make them aware, and I will get more clarification on what your responsibility is after submitting the hours. Because in reality, it would be, what she's describing is, these are the hours people worked, and then you're done.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to think
Well,
about it after that.
Well,
I
not
have
quite.
to set up, if I'm responsible for saying what they're going to be paid, which
Right.
comes from the town report. And, yeah,
Right.
it's not just ours.
Yeah.
Well, no, well, that's what I meant. You just submit the information
Yeah.
as opposed to having to then write the checks and print the check register and then the warrant and then get in and all that stuff.
Okay,
Okay.
so
So,
I feel,
payroll management
I feel
for
comfortable.
a year,
Yes, I feel comfortable that way.
start
And Joe
looking
will
at,
circle back to us with
Yeah,
some
I would-
intel.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. That'll probably happen later this week or maybe next week, but I don't have a problem. I'm on board with Carrie because I understand where you're coming from. It would be nice if you had all of Trio's modules, but the reality of the situation is what you described, and if something happens, if you're sick or you're out for whatever reason, that can stop the town. And you need to safeguard yourself.
Do you, you're a representative from Trio?
Yeah.
Okay, are there any Trio modules? If you could review the modules that the town has set up and see if there's any modules that they're paying for that you could actually shift over to a payroll module.
Yeah.
Because I know in my past experience, there are a lot of modules that get set up when new software is installed with the idea that you're gonna use them all, but you don't necessarily use them all and you just keep paying and paying and paying.
We
and
just
forget
paid
about
on
it.
We just paid our
the
fee,
highest
and I think they're all, the BMV,
rapid renewal, yeah, I've
yeah,
gone
the
through it, we've had a-
budgetary, I think they're all being
Yeah.
used.
Yeah, you wanna be as lean as possible.
Yeah, we are.
I can still take a look and
That'd be great.
That's not a
And
problem.
if you can give discounts for the town being on Trio for such a long time,
that's another real possibility that I can, I'll let Allison know.
it would
Yeah.
sweeten the pot.
Understood.
They were pretty good to us last year. They let us run a couple of months without paying until we got into a new year.
We don't wanna,
So.
we don't wanna come down hard on anyone because we know the reality of the situation. We wanna work with you.
Yeah.
And we'll let stuff coast. Because it's in everyone's best interest. Any more payroll questions or questions?
Nope.
Thank you for
Yeah,
coming,
thanks
just
for
hang
coming
out with
down.
us.
Not a problem. This is my first select board meeting, so thank you very much. It was interesting.
Thank you, Joe.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I'm glad you showed, had you come in, that made it a lot easier to talk rather than emails.
Yep, or Zoom for that matter, but
Yeah,
I'll be available if anyone has any questions. I'll get those other questions answered and we'll take it from there.
okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
See you, Joe.
Thank you, everyone.
Do we need, do we feel like we need a
Do you want
motion?
a motion and
Or,
get
or I guess you
directions, or-
just proceed and then when the bill comes. you
Actually,
motion.
I
What do you
would
think,
like
Carrie?
it to
Yeah.
have a motion because we've gone back and forth on this.
I move that we go with payroll services for 1 year. 1 year trial.
Bureau management services.
Second,
Second,
and a vote.
Thank you. Very, very much.
Still hesitant on payroll services guarantees. I've seen too many of them fail. And
But I do understand that because one of my first gigs going out on my own was going in and clearing up one investment from mainly payroll.
is it the guy in, not in,
Augusta,
oh, yeah,
and he had a whole bunch of small businesses. I got a reputation, I ended up working with 30 businesses that had been, he collected tax and didn't, he absconded with tax money and went to prison and ended up paying people like, even now, one of my clients is getting a $5 a year check restitution. So I do understand that, but the thing is that when I went out, I vetted different payroll services, and the only ones that I would ever recommend are Paychecks and payroll management. Paychecks is much more expensive. It's kind of, but it is kind of like the tech solution because you can log in and anybody can log in and make their own changes on their withholding, et cetera, which is really cool. But
yeah, I
Big
think a lot of
bucks.
them is gonna want that direct deposit, that's very handy.
that, and that is, and the thing is with the teachers, when I did that, it was, I mean, I'd work until 2 o'clock in the morning because it was like, oh my God, I don't want to miss anybody.
yeah.
And it was just after, I couldn't do it till after, and it was, the timing of everything was just really stressful. It's not, it would be nice to save some of the hours because you are paying the hourly, but at the same time, it's the security of the town that I really like. So,
agree.
I just have a comment, Bob. Would it make any sense to cross-train somebody to be able to, just in case?
That's,
No, because I don't think it ever feels good to think that, oh my God, if something happened to me, nothing. you
that's
didn't
why
even
I'm
know
pushing
about
for
it.
a town manager.
Yeah.
Well, we got Aaron Burrows over here.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to
He
do.
knows how to do all this stuff.
You'd be a good candidate.
Well, you go to work and come home and be on call.
I mean, just in an emergency, not.
That's
for
what I'm
anything
pushing
major.
for.
yeah, that's what I was saying, a year and a half ago, it was on Sunday,
Yeah.
and I ended up in the emergency room.
Isn't there somebody who's already here who could
Well-
possibly?
And that's why I'm pushing for a trio, because if you go out there and you advertise for somebody and you say, I want someone that's trained in trio, then it immediately clicks. And if they say they're proficient with trio, then they can move right into, say, a clerk's job, or they can move into a treasurer's job. So, yeah, we're kind of moving in that direction.
Which Bob and I don't agree on, because my thought when I came here was that the idea was that having somebody with accounting basis would be the person that we would want to be able to step in. So if something happened to me, somebody knowing accounting could step in. And that's more of where I was going. And Trio is not an accounting system.
Mhm.
Right,
I
it
get it's
is.
just software.
right.
It's just a software.
Well, and
Right.
it's not really, it wasn't designed as accounting software even.
In town, business is not, doesn't work with accounting because we raise money at the town meeting. Say we raise $1,000 to do something, and then we spend it.
Right.
So it's not like a business where you,
Have
You know,
constant.
things come
cash
in, you
flow,
sell it,
yeah, right.
you make a profit.
Right.
Town business
It's
is not, doesn't fit in an accounting system. And it's audited differently too.
Mhm.
So, and that's why Trio is being used so much in the state and probably everywhere. They're out of Niagara, New York, I think, or no, Ontario. They're over the border anyway, I think.
Oh.
Um,
It is interesting because talking payroll management actually. Yeah. Maybe there's somebody that. Okay. Actually, they have, because I kept telling you, and I said, give me some of the towns, Kennebec County Commission Office, Town of Pittsfield, Town of Newcastle, City of Old Town. And that's more,
Oh, they do that, okay.
payroll management.
Yep.
Does those towns.
Okay, transfer station. Saturday, they got absolutely soaked. They have no rain gear. I would propose that we purchase rain gear for them. 3 sets of rain gear would run between $30 and $40. A bib and a hooded, jacket.
Are you getting one, Bob?
I already have my own.
Just checking. It's gonna be like the Gordon's fisherman, like with the yellow slickers.
Correct.
Yeah, only if it's yellow, we'll say.
I think they are yellow.
Yeah, I'll motion that we purchase some rain gear for our transfer station employees.
Upwards of 40 or so.
Upwards of 40 or so.
To come out of the transfer station budget.
Come out of the transfer
Oh,
station
yeah,
budget.
absolutely. Kyle, any discussion or anything?
No, I mean,
I second
All right,
and vote.
thank you for the
I will
joint
do that.
writing of that motion.
Okay, a shed for George. The shed that George is in right now will be condemned as soon as our safety person inspects the transfer station on the 12th. It has a wood stove in it, and that wood stove should not be there. Now, Carl and I went to the Cassie wood shop in Augusta,
Mhm.
and they have one that's all built and priced it out for us. It came in a little higher than I figured, $1,250, right, Carl?
yes,
You read, which is quite a bit cheaper than what either Lowe's or Hammond's had.
Mhm.
And it's funky. It has like 4 rows of one color and then 4 more rows of a different color. It was vinyl siding. It's fairly good size. Carrie brought up the fact that Lee has a shed up there now that he uses for road signs, like the bean sign, big road sign and stuff like that, the extra signs. And it's about half full right now. We could move that down there and use it and not have to pay for this 1,200.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's a good fit, because we'd have to put a gas heater in it for the winter.
Mhm.
I don't know what you guys,
Both of them would require a gas heater.
yeah,
Okay,
they're a little too far apart. George should be at the compactor. He shouldn't. I was spending a little bit of time with Megan only because I was getting information from her. But if you're over there, you've got to really keep your eye on the compactor because if it gets too full, you've got to end up taking stuff out because
Yeah.
otherwise it just doesn't work right.
okay, so we are going to, I mean, we have some extra money in that line, but we're at
In what line?
a transfer station. So, but we're going through it here.
Yeah, we're only not even halfway through it.
No. Well, we're not, but remember in the spring, we opened for an extra day a week.
Yep.
So we need more than half.
And we just spent 1,800 for a safety
Mhm.
manual.
And gates. And now you're talking the shed
Yep.
and the propane heater and the propane to heat.
The propane heater is gonna come from me and I have an extra tank.
You're gonna keep it filled?
No, they gotta fill it.
Yeah,
I
I know.
won't be that generous.
No, I wasn't anticipating you doing that, but
Transfer station, where is that?
it's on page 2,
Bottom,
towards the
the
bottom.
bottom.
2. Transfer station. %. I don't know, what do you think, Kyle?
I haven't seen the other shed that we're talking about, but I think that that shed we looked at was a very good deal for what I think it is.
Yeah, it's 2x4, it's not 1x3s or whatever they use at Hammond's.
I'm not saying it's a bad idea. What I'm saying is that I'm a little bit worried, maybe these are fairly major type purchases for the transfer station. We've been shoveling in some money in there, but
Yeah, but these are all
These are-
safety.
yeah, but being that they're fairly major, I'm wondering if maybe we should have voted at a special town meeting because it's an investment,
Yeah,
they're just
at some
operational.
point, we might have to.
Well, what was the price of the one from here in town?
From Catsy? From the Voltec?
No, the shed from,
1,200.
okay, that was 1,200. For what
Does that
about Lee
include the
Dunn?
gas heater?
Free.
Lee Dunn's,
It's
Okay,
our-
so it's free.
that was,
Why don't we just do that?
it's almost full. It's half full of road signs, you know, those, it's, well, road close,
Yeah,
those, tent type,
but the
Signs
point
he
is,
puts up.
one person's gonna use it.
that's right. Only
One person's gonna be in there,
Yeah, no.
and
I don't know if I could put a propane heater in it
why
with
not?
that much stuff in it.
So if you buy this $1,200 thing, then you still have to buy a propane heater for it?
No, I'm
he's
gonna
got
give
the
it to
propane
him.
unit.
Oh, okay.
But then we still have to keep the propane.
Oh, of course.
So are you looking for a
That's a
place to put
given.
those signs?
What's that?
Are you looking for a place to put the signs temporarily?
Yeah, if we could put the signs,
What if you take some space at the back of the e-waste trailer? I mean, you organize it so there's more room and it's a big trailer and I don't see a lot of people dropping off e-waste. Now, maybe in the spring and through the summer, I mean, that's a busy time.
That's it.
So it could work out. And even if you only have the shed temporarily set up while you come up with another solution, it won't cost you anything. So however much it's gonna cost to move it.
Okay, let me see what we can work out with Lee.
That's come up.
Yeah, and the signs will be more secure.
Right. Okay,
And I don't think the propane is gonna cost that much anyway, because we're only open,
yeah, 4 hours,
Yeah.
8 hours a weekend.
Yeah.
8 hours a week.
That's a small space.
Right. Okay, why don't we do that?
but we don't expect to see you in that shed, Bob,
Oh, I don't, I stay outside. I don't need the heat.
all the time. Drinks.
Carrie, just so I know, are the panels, are those in this budget yet or not yet in the
The
budget
panels.
that Bob bought for the transfer
They are.
station?
Gates,
Gates, yeah, thank you.
those are not, well, they are in there, but those are gonna be, hopefully paid for by a grant,
Yes.
hopefully, yeah. Yes,
Was just curious, thank you.
okay. Transfer station.
Yes.
Anything else on transfer station? Administrative assistant. I think we have to do that executive session. Okay, governance committee. Did you do any thinking about? They wanted us to come up with a recommendation to them. They came back to us and said, well, what about our recommendation to the board 2 years ago?
Mhm.
They made a recommendation in a report saying that they wanted the administrative assistant to have more management skills.
Mhm.
And that's not what we advertised. And it's definitely not within what we receive for applicants.
Mhm.
Um, And it's really not what I was looking for anyway, because I was looking for swinging the town into a town manager's slot type thing
Mhm.
with the approach of trying to manage everything a little bit better than what is. Just for instance, today, I spent the whole day just about doing insurance claims because of someone falling and getting hurt.
Mhm.
And things like that, you know.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what do you think? I'm just looking for your opinions, both of you. I don't want to push for a town manager if you're not on board.
Yeah, I mean, I'll share, I've heard this before. When I joined the select board,
You were
I
not
was
for it.
not on board.
That's right.
I've changed my tune, as
That's
you
what
know,
Lucas
Bob.
said. That's what Lucas said.
And so I guess about the coordinator, I feel like a hesitation I have is if we are looking at a town, it sounds more expensive to have a town manager and a coordinator
Right.
position. So I guess as we're exploring the manager conversation, I'd be hesitant to hire another more
Right.
expensive position.
And that's part of the process is to find out what it really will cost.
Right.
We don't know.
Yes.
Everybody's saying, oh, it's gonna be really expensive, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah.
So I thought that I think it's hard to give an absolute answer from the select board to the governance committee at this point.
Right,
I think we asked that there be some interviews with other town managers, for
Right.
example,
right.
and get a better feel for what alternatives there might be.
Right,
Yeah, right. I think we're at a looking at
that's exactly what I was
Potential.
looking for,
proposals and option stage.
right.
Yes.
Carrie?
It's a hard one because it's fun. You need somebody now to help with at least the lower level filing and administrative stuff.
Right,
And you need somebody to take the burden off of all of you, but town manager isn't gonna happen for a while.
no, it's probably a couple of years down the road.
Yeah, so I hate to see you putting everything off to figure out an answer on that, because
Right.
meanwhile you're dying slowly.
Right. Right. And an administrative assistant isn't gonna be doing all the insurance work that I did today. There's
Mhm.
just no way that that person's gonna do.
I didn't
So-
even ask, because usually I do a lot of the workers' comp stuff, and it's always been my understanding Blackman did the liability stuff, so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I would say to the governance committee and say, listen, go out, talk with managers around and find out what's available and do some research.
Mhm.
Find out what the pay scale is and how each of these towns are set up.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm curious about the part questions as
Right.
well.
Right, yeah, right. I'm not saying we need someone in here 40 hours a week. So,
Yeah.
and those are the questions that need to be answered.
In the interim, do we need to consider an admin assistant type person for the interim until that decision is made? Letting the person, if we do decide to proceed on that path, letting the person know that it may be a temporary kind of role.
I'm not sure.
Does
Possibly.
MMA have any kind of temporary listings? Like, I've worked Bridget temps and Kelly Services, you can get temporary workers.
Mhm.
I thought MMA had something, a listing of people that were
Hmm.
interested in temporary type work.
I
I'm
don't
not
know,
sure.
but
I don't remember seeing
must have.
anything.
Yeah. don't
I
know why
looked, when we were gonna advertise, I looked and I didn't see anything,
Okay,
but there might be. They were, the best thing was that Daily Bulldog. That's the one I got the
Yeah.
most
okay.
responses from. I did get one from the KJ, but she never said anything back.
I think the key thing right now would be to get somebody to be very specific about, this is a temporary job while we figure out what things are, just to
Right.
be fair to them.
Right,
Right.
And I think
Mhm.
okay, I'll get back to Sue then. She might be listening in.
She might be. Hello, so. We have another governance committee member, anyway. Does that feel like what we left
Oh,
last
I think
meeting?
so.
Like, yeah,
I think so. The gist of it is trying to figure out what you truly need. And it's gonna take a long time for you to determine that, and there's gonna be a lot of research.
Yeah.
In my experience, I believe town managers are going to look for a commitment of a contracted 3-year commitment, or they're about six figures, at least 100,000, and then you tack on benefits. Yeah, no, you want it lower than possible, but then you're mixing the level of experience for that particular town manager with the amount of money that you're spending on it.
Yeah.
I am not speaking for the governance committee. I speak for myself, and I believe you really have to dig in and try to clean up or identify baseline of what you need done. And then from there, you'll have a stronger position what you really want that position to be in.
Yep.
And if you contract 3 years, you like it the first year, but the tide turns against having this particular person, then you run the risk of breaking contract year 2, year 3. So to me, those are things you should also consider.
And that's what you should look at as
Yeah.
a committee.
Yep. Yeah, and the committee, again, I'm not speaking on behalf of them, but there's a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of time that goes into it. And I would imagine you to really have a hard task ahead of you, trying to figure out what you really want and trying to balance the amount of time that you're going to spend looking for someone. And researching for the governance committee.
Yeah, I would split the committee up so that maybe a couple would go to Reedfield, a couple go to Belgrade, and a couple to Fayette.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Right.
You know, I think Aaron's idea of knowing what you want means perhaps making a list of all the responsibilities that you're looking for that person to do and
Yep.
sort of outlining maybe a job description and then seeing what really, you know, what needs expertise and what could be done by a lesser.
Right, in each of these
skilled
towns,
person.
what they do varies a little bit, but a lot of these town managers do quite a bit. When it comes to the town, like, for instance, in Belgrade, the town manager there, when they do payroll, that the town manager comes out, the town clerk, the treasurer, they all get together, they bang out their budget, and they do their payroll.
Right, but do we need that? Do we need 3 people doing that?
The selectmen don't approve it?
The selectmen approve it,
Okay.
but they all get together, they whack it out, give it to the selectmen, you know, that's why I say these people all need to know Trio if you're gonna be using everybody. That way you have
I
many people knowing it
don't
rather than,
understand why it takes 3 people.
it's just that it just makes it easier when you have, if you have one person out, then you still have 3 people.
Okay.
The level of the.
I just thought it was nice that an office like that could work together and do things like that.
The level of, the level of a town manager is not really going to interact directly with inputting stuff into Trio.
No,
Yeah,
by getting it ready. they can-
yeah, Trio and Munis are the two default softwares, and Trio is for stuff this size. Whereas Munis is the size of Portland, I think Brunswick uses it, Waterville, yeah, bigger.
Bigger ones,
communities.
yeah.
Because they have the cash to actually pay for the bigger fees when it comes to it.
Okay, I will write to Sue.
Okay.
And see if she can know.
By everybody.
Good night.
We have to find-
Yeah, say hi to Bonnie.
I will.
Governance is done. Safety procedures, the only thing new on that is on the 12th, Monday. Lynn Martin is gonna meet with Megan at the transfer station and go through that. And she's gonna come here in the afternoon and meet with Kerry and Heather.
You said I didn't have to be here.
What's that?
You said I didn't.
You don't have to be here if you don't want to.
The-
In fact, I have the book right
Everything
here.
has to be uploaded for the audit on Monday.
Yep.
Oh,
19th,
yeah.
so it's like,
Mhm.
It's fine. It's
scanned my
big deal.
entire office and whittled my fingers to the bone scanning, so.
And at that time, I will have her add community center, that'll probably be another 500 or whatever, but she owes us money back.
Why?
Oh, that's right, I gotta bring that up. Lee is taking his name out of the running,
Okay,
if you know what that means. He's not gonna be considered a public works because he is going to be submitting his bills differently now. He's gonna not submit them as employees anymore. The only one he's gonna submit as an employee is his foreman, as a foreman. And the rest of them will be Lee K. Dunn and Son worked on such and such a road, bang, one figure.
as a, like, as a business, he'll bill.
Yeah.
The town.
Yep.
Or invoice, I guess.
Right.
Okay, so,
So he'll invoice it similar to what like Sid Smith would, or,
as a contractor.
right,
And what we should do, because we're using it on a regular basis, is have a contract.
Yep. Right.
It specifies the prices and.
right.
Okay,
So that will take that burden out and she can return out of the fee. We've already paid for the 1,800 for that, and we'll get a rebate. There's no way he would have passed. It would have been very difficult for him. What's the other thing?
Do we still need to have the safety procedures even though Lee isn't? No,
I'll talk to her about it, but I don't know. She was already under the impression that she was gonna have to return that money anyway.
Okay.
Yep. Generators. This is brand new for you guys, and well, I guess it's not for you. We
It's
got
been a while since. I looked
generator
at them, I
bids.
guess.
Oh, did I get new? Actually, I'm not gonna, I'll bring it up just because what I did was, we got bids for generator here and a generator for the community center, backup generators. And we got pricing on them, but they were back in,
It's a
May.
while ago.
yeah, May. So I called both. I don't think I called these guys out. I called Main Generator because June thought that these guys would be better to deal with. They were just slightly higher than the people over in Belgrade. But she thought they just listed everything better and they just had a much easier approach to everything. And I also asked Kaplan Electric to come in and look at the breaker panel,
Mhm.
because someone said that it had water in it. So I wanted him to look at it and see if it needed to be replaced.
Mhm.
And if it did need, I would rather have him do it than the generator people.
Mhm.
So that's up in the air. And this is still up in the air. So this is just giving you some preliminary information at this point.
very bad question. Should we be going through the procurement policy procedure for
Yeah.
this?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna have to get prices. I only got prices from, I haven't received them yet. I
Okay.
contacted them, but I didn't get prices. I
Okay,
didn't think about it until,
we need 3, I think. it calls
Or at
for.
least, I think
At
3,
least
or at
3.
least
yeah.
a valid attempt.
The third one's gonna come in as a real lowball price, but I'll deal with it. Okay. Attorney. Did you guys see this letter?
No.
Um,
I have-
Tom
Oh.
Carey said that he cannot be the town attorney because he's just swamped. I think I talked with you about it. And he recommended Amanda Meter.
Mhm.
Okay. And so what I'm suggesting is, should we have her come in and talk to us like we did, Tom?
Yeah, I think so.
I will
I mean,
contact.
I of course trust Tom's recommendation.
Yeah.
I just think
Well,
we should.
Carl has dealt with her
Yeah, she worked with us
On the
on the
bond
ballot
rate.
question.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
and I guess she did a pretty good job there,
Great
so
job,
we might as well have her come in.
Yeah.
I'll call.
Definitely.
She's not as
True.
knowledgeable about town procedures as Tom was. Municipal laws.
Yes, and Tom is not, and that's what happened. Remember when he came in? I don't know. If you,
Was it
you weren't here
before
then.
you, Carl?
Yeah, he was, one of the statements he made was, he said, I wish I had a little bit of knowledge that Dave has.
Mhm.
I think he's overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So I'll talk with her and see if she would be willing to come in.
Do we need to accept Tom's resignation?
Is that a formal resignation?
Please accept this letter. Yeah, yes. I'll make a motion to accept his Tom Carey's resignation as our town attorney
I will second with regret.
with regret. Planning board, I'm gonna skip that one. What we need to do is write something up.
Oh, a policy around attending the,
Yeah. You wanna do that?
yeah, I will draft something up.
Yes.
Other business. I just want to circle back for a minute. So were there any contracts regarding the broadband stuff that we need to terminate? Do I need to do anything there?
Let's
I
wait
heard
till they
Carl was
meet.
gonna
Okay,
circle
Let's wait
back.
till they meet.
I don't want to,
We told them to stop, or to stop doing any
cease and
work for.
desist.
for us.
I don't want somebody turning up bills.
Right.
Wait.
And we asked them to submit their final bills, which I think they've now done.
Okay,
There- But again, there is going to be a meeting, and it looks like it's gonna be December 21st with the broadband committee, so I don't know what's gonna come of that meeting.
because we have to watch, we are authorized to
I got
expend
the
the
wrong
ARPA
price. It's
funds
2,250.
on the broadband initiative, but now it's kind of, we don't have that authorization now, in my reading, so. Sorry.
Um,
Okay. Junkyard.
yes,
That's all right.
other
Way-
business.
The way I read the waiver. Selectmen may issue a permit for a junkyard or automotive graveyard which lies within ordinary view. Okay, I didn't see that. Of an abutting property line, provided the applicant has submitted a written waiver. Provided the applicant submitted a. Okay, from his protection. Signed by the abutting property owner.
To read that again, I think.
Yeah, you read this, you read that.
No, not within 1,000 feet, except for an automobile graveyard junkyard screened from ordinary view. In no event shall it be closer than 100 feet. The selectman may issue a permit for a junkyard or automobile graveyard which lies within the ordinary view of an abutting property line, provided applicant has submitted a written waiver from this protection. Abutting property owner within 30 days.
That wording is tricky.
Mhm.
Now, does that say that the property owner abutting the junkyard, if they can see the junkyard, they need to sign a waiver?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay, that junkyard has been there for 30 or 40 years. Now, all of a sudden, that property owner will not sign the waiver.
The neighboring.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What happens?
Did it have legitimate junkyard permit in the past?
Yeah, we've never done this, to my knowledge. Last year, did they sign waivers? Did we receive waivers on junkyards last year?
No,
I don't recall.
forget the waiver. Did the junkyard have a permit, legitimate permit
Yeah,
up to this point?
for forever.
Okay.
Sid and Lucas, Elizabeth, Lucas, Sid, and Herb have had, as long as I've lived in town,
Okay.
have had junkyards.
I know they had, but did they have permits?
Yeah,
Okay, so they were all legal.
So there's some documentation of that permit in our files.
yeah.
And that means that the neighbor, is it a new neighbor? Or did they just decide
Where
that they
did this,
don't like?
yeah, where did this request come from?
This is in the ordinance.
So
the
why
language.
is this on our plate all of a sudden?
Because Bill was saying, he's sending this to us, saying before we, as selectmen have to sign the junkyard permit. We have to sign. He has to go, as a CEO, has to go out and inspect it. And then, once he inspects it, let's see where we have to sign it.
This spot
We
at
have
the
to sign
bottom.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. After consideration, selectmen vote to approve the application. With what condition? I think I'll get together with him tomorrow and see if I can find what happened last year. Or the year before, or the year before that.
Because if the junkyard has been there, the owner of the junkyard has been there. And the neighbor is just now, legitimately, the neighbor is just now complaining, there must be something else going on, so.
Elizabeth Lucas, hers is almost gone from the application, what he's saying anyway. And RC Auto, Rob Coburn, is fairly new. I didn't even know he had one. I don't know where it is. It's gotta be way in
Up
behind
there.
his place.
Yeah,
Yeah, the map looked like it was like
Yeah,
back. If you do talk to him, I was reading those permits this afternoon and on one of them, maybe it was that one, Bill suggested that we have a policy around I should reread the email, around waiving a signature, and I wasn't sure why he was making that suggestion for that one and not the other, so, and I
I would think it would
Would
make
be
sense to have a
clarify.
waiver of signature if it's been there.
for a certain amount of
Yeah.
time, but I felt like they were, I
they're
felt like
all,
the other ones had been there.
they're all
longer,
old.
too.
They're
Yeah,
all been there forever.
Yeah.
yeah,
It shouldn't be something that can change all of a sudden, no, we don't like you, so you have to get rid of your junkyard.
I know. And do you have to write a waiver every year?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Is it a new neighbor or
I don't know.
did the neighbor complain? Yeah. Is this just a formality for junkyards that has?
So I went through and on each of these, and I went through and I wrote down Cause I thought I was gonna have to send out notices to everybody.
Mhm.
And then I started reading it and I said, what? On a 40-year-old junkyard,
Yeah. Oh,
as long as you can't see it from the road.
So the junkyard would have been started before the ordinances actually existed.
It could be.
So is there a grant?
Well, no, this junkyard has been going forever, but this particular clause, maybe. I don't know. You're
I feel
right.
like
Where did this waiver come from? When did this come in? I don't know. But certainly it was there last year, so.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely
could
been
look at
there.
their,
It hasn't been in the past.
yeah, so
couple
I could look
few.
at last year's permit.
Upon rereading, I just pulled up that email, so rereading it, I think my understanding of Bill's email, so if you talk to him, maybe we can clarify this, is that the waivers are not yet obtained
No.
for Bob's,
No,
and so maybe he's saying, he suggests
He
approving
wants-
it with the condition that he
Right.
gets them.
he
Okay.
wants us to get the waivers. Yeah, okay,
So you're gonna talk to him? Okay.
good one.
do you know if all of the minutes are on the website?
Yes.
Okay, because I need to refer, it worked really well last year. I referred the auditors to minutes on the website.
Yeah.
So that works.
Oh, beautiful.
I know, other than scanning
Printing
them.
and scanning forever.
Yes.
They're under select, or they're under documents, select board meeting minutes.
Yes, in fact, I went there today. So,
Thank you.
Heather gave us a letter.
Yes. Oh, and that.
She wrote down all the times when someone came in after 5 o'clock on Monday. And there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times since July. And she thinks we're throwing away money. Paying, it doesn't pay her, but if her mother's here, they're paying $20 an hour. And so she is requesting that they cut back their hours on Monday to 5 o'clock. And I don't see any reason why she can't.
That seems fine to me, given this
Mhm.
handy data.
And if they have trouble that causes thing, then we can revisit it. Write that down. And what was that? Kelly. Yes, yeah. Kelly works for her once in a while, I guess. And she wants to know if she would get paid $20 an hour. And I guess that's what her mother makes, right? $20 an hour, so I guess that's what she would make, right?
If she's a full-fledged deputy, is she able to do the BMV registrations and all of that?
Yep.
She is able to do the trio stuff, that she is certified by the,
Yep, she worked all alone that
that we.
election day, she worked up here all alone. Yeah. So I would say,
So
Do we have to make a motion, by the way, to go 5 instead of 6, or is that something that?
I don't
Heather-
think, I
No.
think that's within
I
Heather's.
think she can close.
I think so.
She can set her own hours, but just wondering, did the town vote for the number of hours per week? It's the only thing I can't remember. I have a
Maybe.
question on that. Do you want me to go get my town report real quick?
Okay, thanks, Carrie.
Well, not that quick.
Semi-quick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was yeah,
I want to talk to Carrie about that. Workers' comp is up 52% payroll? What the heck?
that was crazy.
Yeah.
Can't be. How can all payroll be
I
up
mean,
There was something
52%?
about something to do with the fire department, was it?
Did you have a audit?
Yeah, workers' comp. Why is our workers' comp up 52%? Our payroll,
Our payroll was up and we had 2 major claims. They threw a look back 3 or 5 years.
oh, from that.
Pat Rosen and,
Okay. Okay, we did not.
We didn't.
No.
And if we did it in a way previous year, it would just zero out with the new year. Okay. That makes that easier then.
Good.
Good idea though, Carrie.
anything?
Yes, and maybe tonight's not the best night to think about it, but I saw the email about the community center, the permit going through with the DEP.
Yes,
So now that Ellis Brothers
yes,
can do their work,
they've been working there.
they've been working. Well, maybe this negates that. My question was, do we need to sign off on their beginning? But I guess not, if they're already gone.
No, they got,
I have all their paperwork.
You got
I
their
have the
paperwork?
insurance and W-9.
I meant to ask you that, that's good. Did you get they're able to work near the water?
No,
Don't they have to have a, what do they call that?
that's between you guys and Bill and I don't do that.
I
I've
feel
gotta go
like-
to the planning board.
That's what they,
I feel like my memory, I'd have to like look back at some of the notes. I feel like my memory is we wondered if they needed that for the DEP permit. But they got the DEP permit, so.
Yep,
I'm
okay.
guessing no.
Anything else?
Carl, do you have anything while I look
I
at
don't.
it?
I do, I have another thing, I just saw the owl.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, I have a quick other thing, but you go first, Bob.
Oh, I gotta bring up the owl again because the owl was purchased with money from the broadcast people,
Mhm.
and they would rather not have it leave the building.
Mm.
So my motion to purchase an owl for the planning board is back on the table.
Do they have,
no, they have no money.
that was my question, thanks, Carrie.
It would have to come from,
And I want a tall, dark and handsome stable boy.
it would have to come from,
Somewhere else.
contingency. I moved that we purchase an owl for the planning board. From contingency funds, so that they can record their meetings.
Okay, I'll second this time.
Can we discuss now?
discussion.
Okay.
It's on the floor.
The thing is that I don't want to sound like a broken record, that a contingency is for unexpected emergencies, like the furnace doesn't work, or, you know, something that safety, health, blah, blah, blah. This isn't an emergency. There are ways to record without an owl, and I would strongly suggest that we wait and put it in the budget for the town meeting vote versus pulling it out of contingency, because we're already spending a lot on a lot of things.
Money contingency.
No, we're not spending contingency money yet, but I would prefer not to.
There's like 60,000 in contingency.
But it's there for emergency use. No, Alex, it's not an emergency. No,
Do you think-
36,000 in contingency,
How much?
36.
Oh, 36,000.
He only put 5,000 in. But if we have overdrafts on anything, we have to pull it out of there. You're looking at potential overdraft and some salary issues. So,
What do you think?
Is that where the money for the fire engine comes from? Repairs?
Possible. No, that will come from a special town.
yeah, that's,
That'll be from a special, well, no, that'll come from undesignated funds balance. If we have a special town meeting,
yes, but you have to have a special town meeting in order to,
we will,
okay,
yeah, we'll have to.
Yeah.
There's no question.
then do that for the owl. But I do not think the owl is a contingency candidate. That's my,
There is a question, there was a question that came up in our prior meeting about the need for a laptop to run the owl.
You do have an extra,
We do have one?
yeah, we'll have an
Okay, so
extra
that's
one.
not something additional.
And I don't know why they haven't bought, there's supposed to be a monitor here. Carrie's supposed to have a monitor, and we're supposed to have a laptop for here and a laptop for the CEO. And that would free up
That laptop.
that laptop.
Here's another question that we could just ask them to record onto Zoom
Okay.
free with owl free. It's not like as
it's not as
nice,
good.
it's not as nice, but it could do the trick for a little while.
Could we teach
To
them to do
test it
that?
out.
You wouldn't have the camera part. It'd be very different camera.
It's a
experience.
different camera. It's like, like if it was over, if this was the camera.
Yeah.
It, we'd all
Everybody look
be,
here.
yeah. Everyone's kind of small, but if the goal is like to have a record.
Yeah.
It's not like a nice record,
Yeah,
but
it
it
would do the trick.
it's a suitable enough.
Want to do that that way?
I'm sorry about that. Puppy.
Well, I like that
so.
suggestion.
Well, I think, given the concerns that Carrie's expressed, it sounds reasonable until we can have a special town meeting and authorize. I think it still makes sense to get one, but perhaps we move into this more slowly,
Okay,
increments.
I'll retract again.
Okay.
Sorry.
Your thing.
Oh yeah, we got an email about the water spigot at the fire station.
We wanna
They
get
like it, they're bored.
We want to get volunteers to do tests on the water at the fire station.
Mhm.
And you know how long that'll last. I don't mind putting it out there. You can put something on the website saying we are looking for volunteers to Test the water at the fire station once a month.
Who's gonna pay for the test?
The town would have to. $2. No, it's gotta be more than $2.
$20, isn't it?
It's gotta be at
Well, this
least that.
person said two.
You
Yeah,
said
but
two,
it's gotta be
but-
more than $2.
which feels low.
It's gotta be more than $2.
And then what's gonna be done with the test?
And
Who's responsible?
who's
for it?
gonna drive it to the
Yes,
place that it gets tested and
Right.
things like that?
right,
How many people use it?
a lot.
Really? Okay.
A lot of people do.
There's always someone down there filling their jugs up. I knew it's gonna come up.
Me too, it was faster than I thought.
Shall we send them to the Vienna Spring?
Yeah.
Mm.
Or the Spring Hill Spring.
Mm.
We could put it on the website saying.
If you would like to
They want it,
volunteer.
they wanted to volunteer the health officer. That's is not the appropriate spot for the health officer. It has to be someone that would be willing to test the water, drive it in, pick up a new kit so that it'd be ready for the next meeting.
And post the
And publish
results.
the results, yeah.
Right. Could put
Is it enough
put it
to-
in the window.
Post it on the building or in the window?
You could put it in the window right
We
there,
could put it on the
and you
website.
could put it on the website.
Mhm.
Mm,
But in the meantime,
But building's
Okay.
nice.
and
Right, yeah.
if you put a hose on it, like it was,
All bets are off.
Yeah, the hose is,
yeah, all bets are off. That's why I told them to take the hose off of it.
Mhm.
I don't know what you think.
You can't just put a sign there, drink at your own risk.
It basically says that right now.
Okay,
Mhm.
It says it's not for public consumption.
okay, so if somebody really wants to drink out of it, then they can take and test it and I feel safe. But I don't think we're in a position to have the town liable for it because it's an
Right.
unregulated
Right.
access.
In order for it to be a public water supply, it needs to be tested every single month.
Mhm. And isn't there something too that there has to be protection around? It shouldn't be something that people can drive up and put a hose on or,
Yeah. As soon as someone touches that spigot,
yeah. Yeah, because I'm thinking about
possibly,
water testing for the camp. Out at music camp, there are certain precautions that you have to.
yeah, you have to put some
around
bleach
this.
on the spigot or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I think we should just make it known that if, drink at your own risk. And if you want to test it for your own peace of mind, go for it, but the town isn't sanctioning it.
It's always tested out good, but.
Yeah.
We just can't take the liability.
Right.
I
Have
think
we already
that's,
checked with MMA about it?
I've never, no. You wanna write something to MMA?
Sure.
I think it'd be too much for us to take on.
It is a
Especially,
lot.
especially for us to take on the volunteer forces.
That volunteered gotten tests would not stand up in court.
Yeah, and it'll work for a while and then all of a sudden.
Mm.
I remember when we first started doing mowing of lawns and they wanted to make it cheaper by having each plot being done by volunteers. And I said, no, that's not gonna work.
What used to be the transfer station was done by volunteers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yikes. Well, I might just send him an email back saying it's just not something that we can plan to do.
Yes, we hear differently back from
Yeah.
the writing to MMA.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'll say that, yeah. Getting advice.
Mhm.
Okay,
About
anything else?
No,
Do we need to go into executive session or?
You have that number?
If it's the same one as we had last week,
Yep.
yes. Yeah, reminded me of it.
Personal matters, one, MRSA, section 405-6A.
right,
We are going into executive session at 8:49.
all right, good night, everyone
Sign off.
on the internet.